welcome to Watch Talk Fun. My name is Griffin.
And I'm Rob.
And we lost approximately 2 hours of recording footage.
Oh, yeah.
So we're doing the test again.
Oh, yeah. Take two.
Oh, God.
It's only the most professional production here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, people, I mean, let's be honest. The family members that are subscribed to the channel might not know exactly who you are. Mostly because, well, I mean, we haven't actually done any kind of, like, formal introductions for you. So
that is true.
Yeah, so this is how do we meet, why are you here, kind of thing.
Well, I'm here because a long time ago, my mommy and daddy really loved each other.
Beautiful.
Oh, man.
Yeah, if we sound a little dejected, we actually did lose an entire podcast worth of footage.
Yep. 2 hours, like, on the dot.
Oh, my God.
But
yeah, my
times.
friend Rob, I've known him since I was... Did we ever determine how old I was?
I think maybe we landed on 15.
That sounds right. Yeah, I was in high school, definitely.
Yeah.
And I had just gotten a 360. Like, one of the first shipments. I'm talking no HDMI, 15 gig hard drive, guaranteed to die, but I had it for like 3 years without it red ringing. I
went through 4 360s, I think, from the red ring in like a 3-year span.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
But I finally got Xbox Live because I really wanted to play this game called Chrome Hounds, which, funnily enough, is made by the same people who make my new favorite game, From Software. They made Chrome Hounds and Dark Souls.
Yeah, that is very true. I don't know if it's the same director. I don't think Miyazaki worked on Chrome Hounds.
Oh, I'm sure he didn't.
Yeah.
But
yeah, same company.
Yeah, and
which I desperately hope now that, like, supposedly they're done doing Dark Souls and stuff. Like, it's probably gonna be Armored Core, but I really wish they would make another Chrome Hounds.
Me too. That game was fun.
Because there is a game on Steam called MAV. It's like heavily inspired by Chrome Hounds. It's got the same shop system. Most of the parts look the same. It's the same thing. It's adding individual parts to your mech and then going out and running a mission with it. But yeah, that's the only thing that exists right now that is like Chrome Hounds. And it seems like that, even though that's not a huge market, like online mech games, especially one like Chrome Hounds, where it was so different from like a Mech Warrior or I don't know, the Gundam games and all that shit. Even Armored Core. Yeah. Armored Core is so much faster, so much more like anime than Chrome Hounds was.
Well, yeah, and I want to actually talk about this more because Chrome Hounds was such a big part of our friendship.
Yeah.
But just to sum up, like, how we met, just to, like, wrap that up.
Oh, yeah.
You made a post on GameFAQs essentially saying, like, hey, I'm making a squad, blah, blah, blah. And GameFAQs was essentially, like, the Reddit of yesteryear for video games. At least it was for me.
Yeah, because there wasn't like one website that everyone went to for different things. Everything was off on its own sites. Like, there were thousands of video game websites. I mean, there still are, obviously, but like,
yeah,
forums like that don't get used as much now. It's mainly done on Reddit and to an extent 4chan, but in a very different way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, okay, I need to join a squad. So I didn't want to just make a squad, and I didn't want to just join. Well, I guess I did want to join a random one, but I went on GameFAQs, and it had to have been luck at that point because I'm pretty sure yours was right there saying like, hey, I made a squad, people should join, and I was like, okay, and then I posted a reply with my gamer tag, which at the time was glorious. It was Ponage 1337.
Oh yeah, about as early 2000s as you can get.
Oh yeah. And the rest is history. We've been friends ever since, and I'm 26 now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been just about 10 years. And that's
Hmm.
fucking crazy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely the longest online friendship that I've had.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt.
But yeah, and so we've been playing games together since. So we know how each other plays. We've been doing a lot of video game stuff, and that's why we do our Monday show together. But back to Chromehounds, because I just realized something. I'm pretty sure Chromehounds was the, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was the first game to implement the real time war map.
Yeah, you mean the like three factions fighting over something as like the meta for the online?
Well, yeah, but in the sense that the battles continue even if you're not playing.
Right. Yeah, I don't um undoubtedly it was the first console game to do that. I don't know if there were PC games prior that did that. But yeah, that was the first time I'd ever encountered something like that.
Yeah, and it was crazy. Like, remember when it first came out, the first week or so? Like, wars were won multiple times in a day.
Yeah. Yeah, that game was actually very popular at launch. Even that GameFAQs board, I remember that moving very quickly for a board of that style at the time.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it was awesome. Like, obviously, it you know, fell off the map because that's just what happens with online games.
right, and then eventually the servers got shut down, which was like one
Yeah.
of the most disappointing. I don't think I was even using Xbox Live anymore at that time, but like it was still a huge disappointment.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like a death knell on your favorite, or like on like the first game that really sucked us into Xbox Live.
Yeah. I know. No, wait. That I still was using Xbox Live because that was actually fairly early on. Like it was, those servers were only active for a couple years, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at a certain point it did drop. Well, I mean, that was like the golden age of gaming.
Online gaming, especially.
Yeah, because it was new. Xbox Live was amazing. Yeah, it was just phenomenal. And then like games would come out, and we would switch games. You know, Gears of War came out, and then that became our go-to. I think was it Gears of War first?
I think so. Gears of War
The
came
game.
out in 2007, I think, right?
Oh fuck,
Or
I
no,
don't
it might
know.
have been 2006. I'm pretty sure that came out before Vegas. But when the hell did Vegas come out? Was that couldn't have been 2008 because that was like Dead Space and stuff. 2008. Well, 2008 did have a lot of good games actually. Vegas might have come out
Actually,
that
you know what? I
year.
think it might have come out that year because, as no one will ever hear again, I was going through my old phone, which has text messages from you back when I was back in 2008.
Oh man. So I got curious. I was trying to think of what other game like murdered other games online play. You know, early 360 time like that. And like Gears of War was the first one. Like everybody was playing that game, and that basically killed Chromehounds. The next one, which I thought for some reason I thought this came out in 2007 also, but given how strong Gears was at the time, like it makes sense that it was the year after. Call of Duty 4 was September 26th, 2008 in North America. So that gave Gears almost a year to build up its community and everything like that and become like kind of the new what the at the time the standard for online multiplayer. And then fucking Call of Duty 4 came out.
Oh my god, Call of Duty 4. That that game was so good.
Yeah. I've played a little bit of the Modern Warfare remastered on PS4 and like it's still Call of Duty, it still plays like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's maybe because it's 10 years old, it just doesn't there's something it just doesn't have the same like impact that it had at the time, you know?
Well, no, I mean it was like the first of its kind.
Yeah, I mean it was
It
it
got off the World War II binge that everyone was on, and it started the
yeah.
new modern shooter. Like
Yeah.
that was the modern shooter.
Yeah, and it like kind of perfected the model for online play with a first person shooter on a console. You know,
I
for the
mean,
time.
yeah.
It's things have changed since then, but you know, that was
I
like
was, I was gonna say, like, have they? I mean, I feel like each Call of Duty is the same game.
yeah, I mean, they get a little more complex. Different mechanics work better. The unlocking and stuff like that. The upgrade system flows a little bit better. Kill streaks change, stuff like that. But yeah, at its core, it's still the same game. I think it's still using parts of the Quake 3 engine, even now.
Oh wow.
Just like it was then, and it was, when the game first came out on PC in 2003. So it's crazy that, in 2017, people are playing a game that's still, from what I understand, like barely recognizable as Quake 3. But it does have parts of that engine in it still, and that's kind of cool.
Oh, so I'm just kind of scrolling through text to see if anything pops out at me. And this one I'm not sure it really makes sense. This one, it says, Ethan and I just saw Airbender. We can never unsee it. Don't make the same mistake we did. Don't see it. Now, I don't... If they're talking about Avatar The Last Airbender, there is no movie. So I'm not sure what that text is supposed to mean.
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't know.
Maybe they were on
but anyway,
drugs.
Probably. But I digress. Man, yeah, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Bad Company.
Yeah, Bad Company 2 was so much fun.
Man, shit.
Man, Battlefield hasn't been as good since that game.
No. Well, I attribute it to them fucking my medic class.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they changed it to support.
Yep.
And they gave the assault class the health, and I'm like, that's why. Well, now the assault class is the medic class, and it's like, okay, so if they're gonna be healing, why are they also attacking?
Yeah. Well, it's to keep...
No, I know what it's for, but it took away, like, the support class no longer, to me, feels like if I'm on the front line shooting at people, I want to be able to supply my own ammo.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
it seems like it makes more sense for the support class to... Like, because the fact that it just it doles out ammo and then does revives. Like, it's such a weird combination of classes now.
Yeah. Well, I don't think support revives. I think that is still assault.
Assault does the revives
Assault
too?
got the medic kit. Yeah.
I thought they just had the health.
Nope, they have the entire medic kit.
Huh.
Yeah, that's why I think it's stupid, because then it's like, okay, you're playing assault. Are you playing assault medic, or are you playing assault? And then support is like, oh, are you playing support, or are you playing support? Like, I feel like it was better when it was like, hey, you're playing assault. I know what to expect. Hey, you're playing medic. I know what to expect.
Yeah.
Like, the roles were there.
Yeah. I mean, they still have roles. They just seem to be more like...
Stupid, and I hate change.
All I know is engineer still specializes in taking out vehicles and aircraft. And that's,
well,
that's all
you're
I
fine.
Want.
They took my favorite class and they butchered it. Jeez.
It really bothered me that the map destruction in like Battlefield 3 was so much less than Bad Company 2. Like Bad Company 2, most of those maps could just be flattened by the end of the round,
Oh yeah.
And Battlefield 3, it was so toned down that there was it felt like there was a handful of destructible walls on each map, and that was it.
Yeah, well, it got more Call of Duty-esque.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I remember when Battlefield 3, I think it was the beta, came out, and like the only maps they had were like basically Call of Duty maps, and I'm like, this is just Call of Duty.
Yeah, it was Metro. It was that really short range map.
Yeah, and then like the Battlefield I loved was this huge scale thing where like we would go out on expeditions and be like, all right, we're just gonna do this.
Yeah.
Like it didn't even really matter.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically getting really drunk and playing.
Oh yeah.
And what was it? I looked at the scoreboard. I can't, like, at this point I'm so drunk I can't focus. And my hands are playing the game. I'm no longer, like, I've checked out and my subconscious is playing the game. And I was in first place.
Oh man.
And I'm like, wait, what? I think that was just like drunken boxing mode. It's just like so unpredictable. No one really knew how to handle it.
Oh man, it's so great when that happens, when you just start fucking killing it in a game and you have no idea why, and it's just happening.
Oh, when you start fragging out.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, in Overwatch, which is that is my go-to first-person shooter now.
Hmm.
Oh god, like there are some days where I'm just like losing every single game that I play, and it's just the most salt-fueled thing I ever experienced.
Oh yeah, yeah. There can be some
And
really
then
bad days in that game.
oh, it's awful. And then other days I'm playing Pharah, which is my what I main, and I'm just like unstoppable. Like I
Yeah.
see someone pop out and I'm like, oh, they're dead. Like I don't even know what happened. They just blew up.
Yeah, it's almost like just playing on instinct when that happens.
Yeah. Oh, it's so great. So, can you do me a quick favor?
Yeah.
Can you look up whether or not Tales of Vesperia is? Can you? Okay. Do you know if Tales of Vesperia is able to be played on the PlayStation 4?
It is not.
Oh God.
That is the one Tales game that Bandai Namco almost refuses to admit exists.
Why?
The way I understand it is Microsoft signed an extremely tight exclusivity deal for that game, so there is just zero hope of that ever existing in America on anything other than the Xbox 360, and it sucks.
I'm really sad.
I mean, I bought another 360 to play that game again because that's the only way to do it. I mean, I could have like imported a copy of the PS3 version from Japan and like put custom firmware on my PS3 and installed a fucking fan translation patch, but like that's so much extra work. I'd rather spend the $80 on the console and just play it.
Yeah. Berseria. What's Tales of Berseria?
That is the latest Tales game. That's on
Apparently,
PS4 and PC.
apparently that's the best current Tales game, according to GameFAQs poster. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, that's not saying a whole lot. The last handful of Tales games have not been very good, at least from what I've played of them and from what I've heard from other fans of the series.
No, I think they're saying like it's better than Vesperia.
That's what some people have said. That's also what people have said about every Tales game since Vesperia. Um, I think partly out of just feeling like people need to move on from worshiping that game. I don't know.
Shit,
I played the demo. There's a demo of it on the PlayStation Store. I didn't like the way the main character played. She plays almost like a fighting game character where everything is like combos and stuff. It doesn't use the art system in the same way that it always used to. Now, like, all of your regular attacks are like kind of your arts, and they're all these like big, super flashy animations and stuff. And like, it looks nice, but it doesn't feel that good. I don't think. Like, it doesn't feel as responsive as I want.
Okay, so Tales of Vesperia. The reason I was freaking out. That's my favorite Tales game by far. That was the most fun I've ever. I played through that game 6 times. No, 4 times.
Wow,
It's
really?
a really long game. Oh yeah. I played through it once normal. The second time with the abyss weapons or whatever, the abyssal weapons.
Oh yeah.
I played through it a third time as Rita. And then I think the fourth one I never actually completed. But yeah, I played it as Rita the third time, and that was so much fun.
Yeah, Rita was crazy.
But yeah, no, I like Rita's fireball spell was the reason I played that again.
Oh yeah.
Or I played it as Rita, I should say.
Yeah.
Because there was like a secret that they didn't like. It was never mentioned in the game ever. It was something you had to pick up or find out on GameFAQs. Which was, if you cast the spell Fireball enough times, you would start casting more fireballs each time you cast it.
Oh, that's right.
And if you cast it 100 times, you would shoot 10 fireballs out if you cast that spell.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool.
So you're like, Fireball! It just fucking dropped people.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, the more I honestly want to play another Tales game. Like, it was such a magical experience
I know.
playing that. Because, like, originally, my thoughts were, wow, the main character looks like a pansy-ass bitch.
Yeah, yeah, he was a very like skinny,
He's
long
very
hair, like typical JRPG protagonist, I suppose. But yeah, he didn't look like anything special.
he was the most badass person
Oh
ever.
yeah,
He he was a killer.
yeah, he just straight up Yuri just straight up murders people in that game, and like doesn't even feel bad about it.
Like, remember the fucking person sinking into the sand, and he's like, he just watched them die.
Yeah, Rago, right? Is that guy's name?
Oh, I have no fucking
Oh
idea. It's
man,
been so long.
yeah.
But
Jeez.
yeah, I remember having like I was feeling some kinds of ways. Like when I found out about the whole like, oh yeah, this Xbox 360 version isn't the full game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm
the
like,
fact that
what do
there's
you mean it's not the
like
game?
that PS3 version that's Japan only that has a whole nother character, plus you can get Flynn in your party as like a permanent member, I guess. Um, it's got more dialogue, more voice dialogue. Like,
The full game.
yeah, yeah, like the 360 version's almost like a beta version.
Which is ridiculous because the Xbox 360 version was so much fun.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a great game as it is. Like if anyone somehow hasn't played that game but is curious about it, like Tales of Vesperia, as far as I'm concerned, is still the best Tales game that exists. Um, you can get well over 100+ hours out of that thing if you want to do
Oh,
everything there is. Grind a shit ton of grade for whatever the hell you use that for. What
oh,
wasn't there like an island that was like a casino and shit, and there was like a ton of stuff to do there?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh man.
The abyssal weapons got stronger the more you killed with them. So that's why they were the strongest weapons in the game because you would just sit there and grind like it's a JRPG. That's what you do.
Yep.
But each time you kill someone, it just keeps getting stronger. There's no cap.
And those carried over into New Game Plus, didn't they?
I I don't remember, to be honest.
It seems like they would, because that would like then you'd have
Well,
this
'cause,
like
like,
super intense weapon from the beginning of
the
the game.
abyssal weapons were from New Game Plus.
Oh, they were in New Game Plus. Okay.
Like you could not get them until you beat the game once.
Okay, so I don't know if I ever finished my New Game Plus run then.
Did you ever beat Duke's final form?
Is that the one where he casts Brave Vesperia and like murders the shit out of
Yeah.
you? Yeah. Yeah, because
Oh my
I got
God.
real lucky when I fought him, and he only cast that once.
Yeah, that's just like the TPKO kind of thing.
Because it was that it was he had another attack that he would like set up with. I don't remember what it was, but I'm pretty sure Brave Vesperia was like the fucking make everyone die spell.
Yeah, like to anyone listening, just look up. Actually, I'll link it in the description. The Duke boss fight is one of the most intense boss fights I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, that's a long ass fight. Or at least for me
Yeah.
it was. I don't know what level I was at that time or what my gear was or anything like that, but yeah, that's a crazy boss fight.
Like it reminded me of Final Fantasy VII in the way that you could play through the game and miss half the content.
Yeah, there was a lot of like just cool little like not even hidden, but just like side stuff that you could do in
Yeah.
Vesperia. I mean, I think that's what most of the Tales games are like, but I don't know, something that game just has something about it. It's the cast is really great. The voice acting in English I think is all pretty well done. Some of the side characters sound kind of goofy, but that's, they're NPCs. Like, they always sound dumb in these games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you got Michelle Ruff voicing Rita, and she's always fucking amazing. Troy Baker, before he was, like, the new Nolan North, voicing Yuri.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't remember
That's
the
funny.
name of the woman that voiced Estelle, but she's been in other games since then, and, like,
Troy Baker was Yuri?
yeah. Yep.
Like, like Last of Us, Troy
Yeah,
Baker.
like I'm in fucking everything now, Troy Baker. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I think he did get his start in anime stuff.
Yeah, because he also voiced Kanji in Persona 4, which was another,
Oh,
like, that's the game that, like, brought Persona as a series, like, above Final Fantasy for a lot of people, I think.
oh.
And now, now Persona 5 is out and just raised the bar again, especially with... Have you heard the soundtrack for that game? You don't even need to play the game. Just go on YouTube and listen to the soundtrack. It is, like, probably the best video game soundtrack I've ever heard. It's all, like, cool jazz music and, like... Oh, man, it's just so good. Like, the Persona games always have, like, phenomenal soundtracks. Like, at least the ones
Wow.
I've played 3, 4, Golden... 4 Golden on the Vita, and then 5. So I haven't played... I played a little bit of 1 and 2, but those games are so old and different. They might as well not even be the same series as the newer ones. But, like,
Dude,
yeah, the Persona 5 soundtrack is just absolutely unreal in quality.
do you remember? Okay, so
I have
they're
one
talking
one more story about this soundtrack that I need to tell
about.
because it's amazing. There's a comic book
Go for it.
store near my house that I go to every once in a while, and
Okay.
I've been going there like 10
Wait, is
years.
this the one that I've been to too?
It was That's Entertainment, yeah.
Because like I'm picturing like this. Because we went to a comic book store when I was there for PAX East.
Yeah, that's what it would have been then. It would have been That's Entertainment.
Nice comic book.
Yeah,
So that's a
but
big store.
ever since I've been going there, they've always been playing like heavy metal, like exclusively. No matter what time of the day, no matter who's working, that's what was the soundtrack to that store was. I went in
Pretty
there
awesome.
about 2 weeks after Persona 5 came out, and they were playing the Persona 5 soundtrack.
Wow.
It's just, I couldn't believe it. And it worked so well. It's such good music that you can just listen to it in a store like that, and it doesn't seem like out of place. It's, oh man.
Damn.
It is just fantastic. All right.
I'll have to give that a listen.
So-
I'll link that in the description too.
It like
so
seriously,
speaking-
if you like the music, get that game. It is fucking awesome. It took me 124 hours to beat it.
Oh wow. So there. Okay. Speaking of soundtracks, this doesn't. This is not like I'm not saying this is the best soundtrack in the world, but you talking about that, just I don't know where it came from. It just reminded me of this not old, but this JRPG that I played. I'm pretty sure by the time I got it, it was like bargain bin deal kind of thing.
Huh.
But it sticks with me to this day. Lost Odyssey.
Oh man. Yeah.
That game made me cry.
That game was phenomenal.
Like, it was cool. The combat was different. Like, there was that little ring thing that you would do.
Oh, that's right. It was almost like a little QuickTime event kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Or like an active reload, almost.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack, while not, like, as phenomenal as Persona 5, I'm sure, still, like, honestly, what made that game special was the stories.
Yeah. Because if I remember right, there wasn't really like an overarching story over the whole game. It was like kind of broken down into
There
segments.
was.
Yeah, but the real focus was like these smaller stories in between, I think, wasn't it?
The focus was the trying to basically unravel the mystery behind why these guys are immortal.
Oh, right. Okay. What the hell was I thinking of then?
I'm not sure. No, they still have short stories and stuff, like the text that pops up.
Yeah. There was the text things that were like these really good little stories, and they were about the main character's like past, right?
Yeah, they were about like because he's lived for I think it was like 5,000 years was the time.
Okay.
Without spoiling too much, like you do find out what happens, and it's like kind of interesting. It's like they're not actually immortal, but it has something to do with time moving really slowly for them.
Huh.
Well, okay, so if you don't want to be spoiled for Lost Odyssey, skip on ahead.
We'll put the time code somewhere.
Yeah, we'll put a timestamp. Like, skip to that number right there. Boom! It's on the screen.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to this, I am so sorry. But, so essentially you find out that the immortality. They're from a different world, and I don't remember if they got sent there. Basically, someone's trying to take over this world or whatever, but they get sent there for 5,000 years, and their time is slowed down to the point where like it has something to do with the like they just couldn't die for some reason. They were
Huh.
immortal. They were gods. And it was just like I don't know. It was really interesting, and it really brings to light the whole like immortality is a curse thing. Because
Yeah.
in all these, and I remember they were called memories. They were memories, like new memory unlocked or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And you would click it, and it's kind of like one of those interactive comics where each thing slides in one at a time to kind of like represent dialogue, so you don't just see the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
I
like
remember
faded in,
that.
and there was like sound effects, like oh you're on a cliff, and it shows like
Yeah, there
kind
were
of
like
looks like
background images and stuff, weren't there?
yeah, and you hear like wind blowing and stuff, and
Yeah.
it just went over like, oh yeah, this guy gets to watch people like this guy falls in love with people, and then they die,
Yep.
and it's just like he can't die, so it's just like really driving home that whole like he is alone.
Yep. Yeah, and the
Oh,
music that accompanied them, the music in that game overall was really great.
was
It was
it just pulled those heartstrings.
if I remember, it was very like strings heavy soundtrack or makeup. Um,
It had a lot of piano too, I think, or maybe I'm misremembering.
it had a lot of what?
Piano,
Piano. Yes, that is. Yeah.
which by the way, like a side note, that is my favorite instrument.
Oh, really? Oh, you
Yeah,
should check out the soundtrack for I Am Setsuna because that's entirely piano.
I think piano is such a powerful instrument.
Yeah, there's something different about it than there is strings and stuff like that. Other
It just has
instruments.
so much range.
Yeah.
Like, you can be like super happy, like jazz, just like yeah, woo, and you're dancing. Wow, it's fun, like ragtime. Uh, and then you can play something that will make you cry by listening to it.
Yeah. There's a piano rendition of Eris's theme from Final Fantasy VII that is on YouTube.
Oh,
If I can find it, I'll put the link to that particular version in the comments, but it is like I want to say it's the first like piece of like video game music to like move me in any real way like that.
well, I mean, I never finished Dark Souls 1, which I got to because I love Dark Souls and Bloodborne. Like they're just to me they're not perfect by any means, but they are close to it. Like that is what I think when I think of a good game. I think of Dark Souls because if you're bad at if you're losing, it's never the game's fault.
Yeah. Well, not so much for Dark Souls 2.
Okay.
There's a lot of really bullshit hitboxes in that game.
Ugh.
Like
But like Dark Souls 3,
there's
like
boss attacks in that game where they can be facing the other direction and like thrust in that direction and move away from you and you'll get hit.
yeah, that does seem a little bullshit. But yeah, Dark Souls 3, like well, no, I remember when I was getting into Bloodborne. That was my first Soulsborne game that I ever played. Uh, I had to get over the fact that dying repeatedly was my fault
Hmm.
because it always felt unfair somehow. And then it's like, no, I just have to get good.
Yeah. Yeah,
But the
there's not much you can blame on the game in those. That because the mechanics work so well for what they are.
oh yeah, and I mean like you see us on our Monday video, like I'm not sure if it made no, it was this was the 2 hours that got deleted, but the our friend or like my friend Joe, he said to me, he's like, "Is this supposed to be an easy game?" Talking about Bloodborne, because he's like, "You guys make it look easy."
And we're like not even. I don't think we're like that great at it. I mean, we don't
I
have
mean,
a lot of trouble, but like, I don't think we don't certainly don't beat bosses in the most like efficient or like fastest way or anything like that. I mean,
well, that's the thing. Like the whole trick of Bloodborne is that the bosses have a lot of health. Your job is to just never get hit.
Yeah.
So like 1, 2, dodge away, and you will win.
Yeah, as long as you don't get greedy.
Yeah.
That's what gets you killed, is getting greedy. Trying to get in extra hits
Mm-hmm.
when you shouldn't be doing that.
Yep. And yeah, but back to the soundtrack stuff. Like the Dark Souls 3 soundtrack, when I first heard that opening, like the title screen thing, I was like, oh man, am I in for a good game? But like I unfortunately didn't get this. But when you face the last boss in Dark Souls, like the first one,
Mm-hmm.
and then you fight the Lord of Cinder in Dark Souls 3, when he hits phase 2 of his fight, the music changes and it starts being it becomes the theme of the first boss, like the Dark Souls 1 last boss.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. It turns into Gwyn's theme.
See, now I never finished Dark Souls 1, but I've watched videos of people playing through it and fighting that boss, and I didn't even make that connection that it was the same music, because I did finish
Yep.
Dark Souls 3 twice, I think. Yeah, because I thought I had all 3 ending trophies, and I turned out I didn't. So I need to do that still. I need to get that 3rd ending. Yeah, that's next time I get to that boss, I'll have to listen to the music a little more closely.
Oh, it's crazy. People, like a lot of people were moved by it. They were like, "Oh my god, when the piano started, I just lost my shit."
Huh.
And I'm like, "Damn, I really wish I could have experienced that."
See, now that's interesting. I wonder if that's more of a nostalgia thing, or if that's the music itself being that good. Because
Well, I mean,
I didn't really notice the music in that fight, I guess, or at least I don't remember it, so it didn't
yeah.
stick with
I
me.
mean, it's one of those things where it's like, because Dark Souls is such a deep game, and it's like a lot of it isn't told to you. You have to kind of piece it together yourself.
Right.
Which is another reason people love Dark Souls, is because it, like the atmosphere and the fact that it doesn't directly tell you the story. You have to figure it out by yourself.
Oh yeah. Because that allows
just
for a lot of creativity on the part of the fans, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like gaming has kind of hit like someone needs to shake up the industry.
I don't think it's that so much. It's just that like a lot of big games came out this year, so now there's going to be kind of a lull for a little bit. Persona 5 finally came out. Horizon Zero Dawn came out earlier this year. Resident Evil 7. Jesus, I know there's a lot more that I'm forgetting, but like the first quarter or two of this year, like, was just stacked.
But that's the thing. Like, I feel like, with the exception of like maybe Horizon Zero Dawn, there have been no new IPs that I can think of.
There have
like,
like smaller games though, not.
Well,
like,
yeah,
big
I mean,
major
I'm talking
ones.
about like AAA titles.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is those games do exist, like, and stuff got announced at E3. Like Anthem, BioWare's new game that looks a lot like Destiny. There are new IPs that just got announced. It's just that there were previous large games in the works from most of those companies, and now that those are all out, they can start talking about the new things they're working on. Because, like,
I don't know.
Horizon was in the works for a long time. Persona 5 was in the works since, like, that was supposed to come out in 2013 initially on PS3.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like, a lot of these games that came out earlier this year, even Resident Evil 7, I think, was maybe not a lengthy development like that, but I think it was a little bit longer because it was a very different style of game for them, being all first person.
I mean, like, the last great vestige of like new exciting IPs was Assassin's Creed, and then like that's been done to death already.
Yeah, there was no Assassin's Creed last year, but there is one.
They were taking a break off their one game a year release thing.
Yeah, and I think
like,
that was a good
I'm
idea.
talking about specific. Yeah, me too. I think I'm specifically talking about like when Assassin's Creed 1, people have mixed feelings about.
Right.
But for what it was something new and it was something cool.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of like whether or not it was like some of the like the tracking and shit, like it was boring or stupid, it was still like no one made a game like that before, and like the whole memory bit was like new and interesting and stuff like that.
Yep.
And they found out what worked, what didn't, and then Assassin's Creed 2 came out, and it was like, yeah, we took everything that worked and made it a game.
Yeah. Yeah, I
It
honestly
was
don't
like,
like the
oh
first
shit,
Assassin's Creed that much.
yeah,
I just think it doesn't play that well, and I think it is very boring doing the same three things over and over and over again.
yeah,
But Assassin's Creed 2, that game absolutely blew my mind when it came out. I spent so much time playing that game. I got all the feathers. I did everything in that game. Or the was it feathers or flags? There was some big collectible thing in that game.
it was flags. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. I think it was feathers and Brotherhood. But yeah, like that game was absolutely amazing. And you go back and play it
Yeah.
now, and it looks kind of shitty, and it doesn't necessarily play that great. But the problem was every game after that was the same thing. They didn't really
Well,
innovate
no,
very much, aside from like
say Assassin's Creed 3 came out, and okay, it was like different, but it was like you playing a Native American kind of thing, like with the British, and it came to America, and it was like, okay, that's kind of cool. You know, you playing in the revolutionary thing. There's like
yeah
people from
for me, especially living in New England, living in Massachusetts, right outside of Boston, like that was really cool for me. I really wanted to see that, and I was really hyped for that game, and it was like kind of shitty when it came out, and like
it was.
Connor was a really shitty character. He wasn't interesting, especially
Yeah,
compared to Ezio.
yeah,
Ezio was this like suave, funny, like swashbuckling Italian nobility kid that then lost everything and became an assassin and went on this big quest to like go kill the Pope. And then they brought in
yeah.
aliens or something. And
Oh my god, the part where like the ones who came before, she like turns to the camera and starts talking to you. And
yeah,
I'm
like
like,
as the player, that was so cool. Or no, she was talking to Desmond through you, I think, right? Or something.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh man, that was so cool.
She's like, I'm not talking to you. Shut up.
Yeah.
Like but like they introduced like the ship stuff, like the ship combat, and then Assassin's Creed Black Flag came out, which is like that was an amazing game. I really loved that. Sailing on it was like Wind Waker plus Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I mean, the sailing, like the naval combat in that game was amazing. The worst parts about that game were the Assassin's Creed parts. The
Yeah.
the tailing missions, the kind of boring combat, like that was the weakest part of that whole game. Everything else around that was amazing. Dealing with all the pirates, Blackbeard, going off and
so
fighting
cool.
those 4 like legendary ships at the end of the game. I don't think I ever finished fighting all of those because one of them just kept kicking my fucking ass every single time.
Yeah, and like I don't know, just like I know people will shit on Assassin's Creed combat, but I honestly thought it was. I love the combat each time. It's like, oh, you just counter and you kill them. I'm like, yeah, but you're a badass assassin and it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's simple, but it looks cool, and it's
Yeah.
it's serviceable enough for what it is. It's
I'm a man of simple taste.
I feel like maybe they should try to do something a little different with it, make it a little more complex, but it's still totally serviceable.
Yeah, the thing that I am a little annoyed about is that since it's become so popular, it then turned into like it lost its personality.
Yeah, yeah, it started to become very safe. They
Yes.
they went and killed off Desmond entirely in Assassin's Creed 3, right?
Yeah.
And just totally put a stop to that whole timeline, that whole story they've spent it was technically the first like 4 games building up, because it was 1, 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, and they just fucking cut that off right there and like didn't resolve any of it. And they still had like future stuff in the following games, but it was like, a first person segment walking around Abstergo and like looking at computers and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think Syndicate didn't even have that, from what I remember.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. I want them to shake up the industry again. I want them to take a risk, because those games pay. Like to me, those pay off more than the ones that don't.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with the industry relying on sequels, because there are some very good sequels. Mass Effect 2 is one of the best games of that generation.
Yeah,
They kind of fucked it all up with 3 at the end, but it took a strong idea from Mass Effect, and not necessarily in
and took all
everyone's
the shit
opinion.
out.
Yeah, it made it. They made it play better. They did simplify it, and they kind of scaled down the universe. It felt a little bit.
Yeah,
They
but I'm
turned the
just like,
Reapers from these like big, like mysterious, like harbingers of destruction to like dudes that just taunt you the entire time. That was kind of lame, but it that's what a sequel should do. It needs to take the first idea as a platform and evolve it and make it into something bigger and in most
and
cases better. And
yeah,
that kind of thing needs to happen for the industry to be able to change. Like Mass Effect 2 didn't necessarily change the way games played, but it might have changed the way people saw character interaction and making choices and things like that. And that bleeds out into other games.
yeah, like I want to say as kind of like, because I do think we've been running a little long.
Yeah.
Just to kind of like wrap things up, I do want to say that, in my opinion, the fact that sequels are going on this long is hurting the industry. I feel like a sequel should only exist because you couldn't tell the full story in one game.
I mean, that is true to an extent, I think.
Like, look at Call of Duty. That's not like they're doing that because they make money each time they
Oh,
release the
yeah.
game.
But there was never, like, interconnected stories in those games anyway, because they were war stories. They were isolated things that, especially with the original games, the World War II ones, you're basically just playing through, like, different well-known battles and stuff like that of the war. And then when it became modern, it was a little different. You had an actual story you were going through and stuff.
But like the thing that drew me to Call of Duty 1, like the original one, the things that I remember the most are feeling like, oh my god, this is so cool. It's like a war zone. And that's why I loved Bad Company 2.
Yeah.
Because you'd be running as infantry and there'd be rockets sailing over your head and airplanes fighting in the sky. It's like, ah, like this is so cool.
Yeah. Oh, and then they had the really cool sound effects, the war tapes, where it made
Oh
everything sound
yeah.
like super real. That was awesome.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's less about making good games and more about making money.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna happen to any industry when it gets to be the size of what the modern game industry is.
Yeah.
It's not. You don't necessarily have hundreds of small companies all making their own games now. You have these big conglomerates like EA and Activision that bought up all those developers, so they own all those different IPs and stuff now, and those big companies are publicly held. They have shareholders. Like, bottom line is how much money they make, and unfortunately, that comes at the cost of innovation because they want to put out what's safe and what's going to sell. And that's why Call of Duty comes out every year. That's why Battlefield comes out every couple of years. That's why Microsoft still makes Gears of War, Halo, and Forza, even though Gears and Halo aren't nearly as popular as they were, in their heyday. Forza still does well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is definitely a problem with companies like that being afraid to take risks, but it's only because of the impact that it can have if they take a big risk and it fails.
Exactly. Which, I
Um,
mean, I don't know.
that's one of the problems with the way the industry is built right now is that you don't have, like, the double A game doesn't exist anymore. It's either this like big multi-million-dollar AAA title that costs $60, or it's like a little indie thing that some guy made in his garage, and there's not a whole lot in between anymore.
Yeah.
And that needs to come back. Then there needs to be games that get released in like a $30 to $40 range that aren't these big, Hans Zimmer
Like
soundtrack. Like,
Portal.
yeah, like a Portal, like smaller things like that, experimental things that
Yeah.
it would be cool if the big companies would get back into doing stuff like that, because a lot of that stuff does happen on the small, like, indie scale. People try different things because they can, but those can't necessarily affect, well, I want to say they can't necessarily affect the industry the way a major AAA title can, but I guess that's not really true anymore. There's been some really big indie titles like Undertale. That game is hugely
Yeah.
popular, and that's made by one guy. Like that,
Yeah.
that game has made a shit ton of money, I think.
Shit. I mean, like even I mean, like not anymore, but Minecraft.
Oh yeah,
like Notch was just like, yeah, I just decided to make a thing, and people were like, this is really cool. How much is it? And he's like, I guess I'll charge money for it.
Yeah, because it was free for a long time. I played it when it was free, and then I bought it. I think right when it first transitioned over to costing $15 or whatever it was, because I had so much fun with it. I wanted to support Notch. I don't play it anymore, but it's like that game has become its own industry in and of itself almost. Like there's Minecraft on every single platform. It's on phones, tablets. It's on, I think, every console. It's on, PC. There's merchandise of it. There's costumes. There's, foam swords, all kinds of shit.
I got a foam sword hanging up.
Yeah. There's
and my Minecraft torch.
There are games about Minecraft. Like Telltale has Minecraft story mode. Like,
wow.
Yeah. Like that Minecraft is absolutely insane what that became. And that came out of one dude's head.
That's one of those success stories that you look at and you're like, wow, I wish that could be me.
Yeah.
I mean, like, granted, he did get fucked in the end, but that's a tale for a different day.
I don't know, man. He still made a ton of money when he sold that to Microsoft.
Yeah.
I'm
just talking about, like, the fact, like, apparently his company, like, betrayed him in some shit.
Yeah, but he's a billionaire now. I don't think he cares about that anymore.
Yeah. Oh, man. So I've been watching Markiplier play Dream Daddy because it is actually kind of like it's a really funny game.
Huh.
But during the loading screens, it has dad tips. Like, oh, gas costs cheaper in the suburbs. Like, just like actual dad tips.
Oh, that's cool.
But one of them that pops up, it says, "Do what you love, and the money will come."
Huh.
And I'm like, fuck yeah. Yeah, let's cue up that music.
Sounds good.
Any closing remarks? Any things to leave the viewers with or listeners?
Pussy, money, weed.
But yeah, same videos coming out this week. Friday, Magic Show is going to come out. Monday, going to do another thing. I don't know if we're going to go back to Bloodborne or if we're going to do more Overwatch stuff or if we're going to do... Like, we have a whole bunch of games lined up for you guys, so it's going to be really fun. Yeah, and just a final note, go play Tales of Vesperia if you haven't, you monster.
Yeah. And, what else were we talking about? Oh, Persona 5. Fucking go play that. It's good shit.
Yeah. Do it.
Or at least go listen to the soundtrack, because it's amazing.
Agreed. Maybe, I haven't listened to it yet. Anyway, thank you for listening to our Watch Talk Fun podcast. I'm your host, Griffin.
And I'm Rob.
And if this doesn't save, I'm going to end my own life. No. And we'll see you all next week.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.